What is SSH? SSH is a network communication protocol that lets two computers talk to one another, kind of like a remote desktop connection to another computer's terminal. SSH is how you'll connect to the lab machines to do your work. How do I use SSH? See the Week 1 lecture slides for more detailed instructions on how to connect to the lab machines using SSH. If you're using a Unix operating system, like macOS or Ubuntu, you can simply use the SSH command on your local terminal. If you're using Windows, you'll need an SSH client like PuTTY. Once connected, you're essentially using the remote computer's terminal. Working with lab machines versus your own. Instead of doing all your work through the SSH and terminal using command line text editors, you may wish to use a graphical text editor on your local machine. It's super important that your code works on a lab machine, however, for it to be graded properly. You can use Git and all of the methods mentioned in the Git videos to pull and push your code between machines, or use the scp command. Then be sure to test your code on the lab machines for expected behavior. Let's go over an example using macOS on my machine. Alright, let's work through an example of connecting to a lab machine using SSH. Since I'm using macOS, I've gone ahead and opened a new terminal window and can use the SSH command. Then I'll need to type in the domain of the machine I wish to connect to. The domain is as follows: your CSID followed by an @, then ug::cs.ualberta.ca. We have 35 machines we can choose to connect to, ranging from machine 00 to 34. Let's go ahead and try connecting to UG06. Then hit enter. If it's your very first time SSHing to a particular machine, you may need to say yes to some prompts like these before your computer allows you to establish a connection. Otherwise, these won't appear. Then, enter your CSID password as you would enter logging into a lab machine in person on campus, which may differ from your CCID password. Another note, as you enter in your password, you'll notice the cursor doesn't move. Don't worry, the terminal is still registering your key presses, it just isn't showing them for your security. Once done, hit enter. Awesome, now we're in, and it behaves just like a remote connection to the terminal window of a lab machine that you can use just about like any other Unix terminal. You can double check that you're using the lab machine by verifying it says your CSID at UG number before the arrow of your command prompt, rather than the name of your local machine, like right here. When you're done, simply execute the command exit, hit enter, and it will return you to your local terminal session.